Previously, after taking down several ant monsters, the Korean S-rank hunters continued through the tunnel until they reached an ant monster egg chamber. Hunter Cha pointed at a hatched egg, much larger than the others. Min Byung-yu panicked, wondering what kind of creature could emerge from such an enormous egg. Yun-ho tried to calm him down, reminding him that their mission was only to kill the ant queen and not to worry about anything else. But deep down, he couldn't shake the unease creeping into his mind after seeing the giant egg. Outside the ant nest, Kenzo grumbled, clutching his injured shoulder after battling the ant monsters. Shimizu offered to heal him, but not for free. She wanted something other than money. Before long, another swarm of ant monsters appeared in the sky. Kenzo gave in and asked what she wanted. However, Shimizu's head was suddenly severed in an instant. Kenzo and Tatsumi froze, their eyes wide with shock. Kenzo yelled at Tatsumi to stay sharp. The monster was targeting them. The monster charged again. Kenzo swung his fist, but the creature was too quick. In an instant, Kenzo's head was taken off. Tatsumi, still in shock, tried to fight back, but before he could react, the monster beheaded him just as quickly. In a matter of seconds, Team Charlie is utterly annihilated, left in a grisly, brutal state. The scene shifts to the Korean team, now facing the Queen's royal guards. Ma Dongwook raises his shield, blocking the ants' attacks and movements, then tells Hunter Cha to strike. Hunter Cha leaps into the air, plunging her sword right into the ant's head, slicing it cleanly in half. As more ants charge, Hunter Cha swiftly slashes, killing the monster instantly. From the back, Byung-yu takes down an ant and reminds Yun-ho that even though their heads are crushed, these ants can still last about 10 minutes. To fully kill them, their arms and legs need to be severed as well. Yun-ho guesses that these ants are first-generation royal guards, and he predicts that the next enemies they'll face will be second-generation royal guards. However, Byung-yu smiled and told the hunters not to worry, as he'd have their backs. He then opened his spellbook and cast a protection spell, and the magic enveloped them instantly. Byung-yu explains that this is a high-level buff. With it, even though they're up against a lot of enemies, they won't be hurt at all. Soon after, a swarm of ants charges at them. But the hunters aren't fazed. With the protective buff active, they feel even more confident, knowing one hunter can now take on 10 ants at once. The scene shifts outside the ant nest. Team Delta moves to check on Team Charlie, who has lost contact with them. Kei and Ippei arrive at the last known location of Team Charlie's communication. Seeing the signs of a battle, Ippei quickly concludes that they must have been up against several monster ants. As they move through the area, they find Tatsumi's glasses and the gruesome body of a fallen Team Charlie member. Ippei is stunned, struggling to process the horrific sight before him. Suddenly, Kei, whose sense of smell is extremely sharp, catches a foul stench so overwhelming that it makes him gag. The smell is unfamiliar and terrifying, leaving Kei wondering where it's coming from. In front of them, a terrifying surge of magical energy appears. The powerful magical energy materializes right in front of them. Panicking, Kei unleashes his ice magic brutally, creating an ice wall for protection. But the figure is too strong. Its claws easily shatter the ice wall, annihilating Team Delta in an instant. Meanwhile, inside the ant nest, the Korean team had already taken down many royal guard ants, but they only had about 30 minutes before the electric jamming waves died out. Hunter Cha smelled a pungent odor coming from a cave hallway ahead and suspected that the ant queen was there, surrounded by her royal guards. As they made their way down the corridor, they finally spotted the massive ant queen, hiding behind 8 royal guards. Ma Dongwook took the lead, planning to face the queen and distract her, while Hunter Cha and the others dealt with the royal guards. The hunters agreed and got ready for action. Choi Jong-in launched the first attack, summoning a fire magic dragon. He explained that he usually holds back his power, but this time, he was going all out and using all his mana. But suddenly, one of the ants attacked from behind. Fortunately, Taegyu managed to protect him and killed the ant just in time. Yun-ho jumped into action next, transforming into a beast. His body grew larger, and the armor he wore shattered as he became a white tiger with sharp claws and heightened animal instincts. In no time, he shredded 2 ants with ease. Watching this, Hunter Cha stood there in awe, amazed by the power of Yunho's beast transformation skill. Ma Dongwook yelled, reminding Hunter Cha to act quickly. Hunter Cha stabbed her sword into the ground and activated her provoking quaked skill. Magic energy surged from the sword, slowing the movement of the ants within its range. Seizing the opportunity, Ma Dongwook charged forward, drawing the queen's attention. A bright light shone from his shield as he stood tall, facing the queen head-on. The news anchor in the broadcast booth instructed the cameraman to move closer and get a clearer shot, as the viewership had increased by about 80%. But suddenly, Min Byung-yu pulled him back, reminding him that the fight was getting too dangerous, and there were no guarantees of safety. He told the cameraman to stay behind him, as the situation was becoming more serious. The live stream of the raid was being watched by almost all of South Korea, including an excited grandmother who was watching with great enthusiasm. The news anchor reported on the raid. The hunters had wiped out half of the Royal Guard ants, and now only 3 Royal Guards remained. The raid seemed to be almost over. After the last 2 Royal Guards were defeated, they would just have to face the Ant Queen. The news anchor wrapped up, saying, all of the powerful guards have been taken care of, and now all that's left is the Ant Queen. In the broadcast booth, the crew was pumped about the results. The TV viewership shot up to 85%, breaking their highest broadcast record. With this outcome, they were starting to think that South Korea could position itself alongside countries like the United States, Russia, China, and France when it comes to completing Gate Rank S. The scene shifts back to the raid, where the Korean hunters have surrounded the Ant Queen and are preparing to strike. From a distance, Taegyu launches a barrage of magic arrows that hit the Ant Queen's head, forcing her to stagger. Yunho, with his sharp claws, continues to tear at the Queen's legs. Enraged, the Ant Queen spits venomous liquid from her mouth, hitting both Yunho and Ma Dongwook, who are nearby. Byung-yu immediately activates healing magic, neutralizing the poison and restoring their condition instantly. Smiling, Byung-yu says, if you want to defeat us, you should have aimed that attack at me. The Ant Queen turns her focus on Byung-yu. However, Ma Dongwoo quickly blocks her attack with his shield. Jong-in takes action, ordering the hunters to back off, and successfully sets the Ant Queen on fire. He then prepares for the final strike, unleashing a massive fire spell that engulfs the Ant Queen's body. Yunho, watching this, realizes the Ant Queen is nearly defeated, and victory is within reach. But suddenly, the Ant Queen screams, releasing a wave of energy that radiates from her body. The hunters took cover behind Ma Dongwoo, who protected them from the explosion. Yunho realizes the scream isn't a death cry, but a call for reinforcements. On the warship, Sugimoto panics and tells Ruji that all the ants are heading back to their nest. Ruji is shocked to realize the noise jamming isn't working. He stares at the sky, seeing thousands of ants flying back, wondering what is really happening. As the Ant Queen lets out a loud scream, Hunter Cha immediately moves, slashing the Queen's neck without hesitation, ending her life on the spot. Hunter Cha feels a sense of relief, thinking that their mission is finally complete. With this result, Taegyu questions whether they are now among the 7 nations capable of completing an S-rank gate. However, Yunho interrupts, saying that he senses something is off. In a panic, Ma Dongwook informs them that he has received news from the association that the entire ant army is now heading back to their nest, urging them to evacuate immediately. Panic begins to spread among the hunters as they wonder if their time is up and whether the Japanese hunters have failed in their mission. At the same time, Choi Jong-in realizes that his flame prison skill has been destroyed. As the tension rises, suddenly a terrifying aura fills the air, freezing the hunters in fear. From the darkness, a black ant monster emerges, walking towards them, exuding a menacing aura. This creature is the Ant King, a muscular humanoid ant with black steel-like armor, 2 sharp claws, and 4 translucent wings. Hunter Cha trembles violently, kneeling, unable to bear the intense stench and pressure from the creature. As the Ant King walks past the hunters, Ma Dongwook feels his body shiver, his bones as if being crushed by the monster's aura. The Ant King approaches the dead Ant Queen and pauses for a moment, as though holding back its rage. Suddenly, it releases a deadly energy so powerful that the hunters are forced to kneel, intimidated by its overwhelming power. Hunter Cha shakes uncontrollably, her body unable to stand upright. In the blink of an eye, the Ant King suddenly moves, appearing behind Cha. Before she can react, a powerful punch from the Ant King strikes her, throwing her violently into the wall, blood pouring from her mouth. Ma Dongwook shouts when he sees Heian badly injured. However, the Ant King has already moved and now stands directly before Dongwook. With a single strike, the Ant King shatters Dongwook's shield and left arm. Dongwook tries to fight back with his right arm, but the ant easily grabs it and crushes it. The power of the Ant King is terrifying, leaving Korea's top tank hunter powerless before it. Yunho charges from the side, but the Ant King counters with a flurry of slashes, taking him down in seconds. Jong-in casts fire magic, but the Ant King immediately moves towards him and defeats him in an instant. Taegyu keeps his distance, attacking the Ant King with his magic arrows, but the ant easily catches the arrows and crushes them without effort. In a flash, the Ant King darts towards him, knocking Taegyu back. Suddenly, the Ant King is struck, pushed back by a powerful attack. The strike comes from Dongwook. Confident, Dongwook says, "Even if you rip my arms off, as long as I have Hunter Byungyu, it won't be an issue." Meanwhile, Byungyu has activated his camouflage skill, hiding his presence completely. Although this skill requires him to remain still, it is the best skill for a hunter healer. Dongwook attacks the Ant King again, but the creature swiftly dodges. In an instant, the Ant King grabs Dongwook's leg, pulling him with incredible strength and slamming him to the ground repeatedly until he falls unconscious. Suddenly, the Ant King stares at Byungyu. Seeing the ant's gaze, Byungyu trembles in fear, wondering if the Ant King has detected him, despite his camouflage skill. Yunho warns Byungyu, but unexpectedly, the Ant King's sharp claws pierce Byungyu's body. Yunho is in shock, yelling Byungyu's name. In a dying state, Byungyu tells Yunho to run. And unexpectedly, the Ant King monster devours Byungyu's head alive. The hunters are stunned, unable to believe what they have just witnessed. Filled with rage, Yunho leaps to attack the Ant King. However, the Ant King effortlessly catches Yunho and strangles him until Yunho transforms back into his human form. From the body of the ant, Yunho hears Byungyu's voice telling him to flee. The Ant King possesses a terrifying ability. By consuming its prey, the monster steals their strength, including their memories and knowledge. The monster suddenly speaks, "Who is your king?" Yunho remains silent, unable to understand what king the ant is referring to. Meanwhile, the Korean hunters lie helpless and dying. Only the cameraman remains unharmed. Suddenly, the Ant King senses a strong presence outside the nest. It quickly flies out to search for the source of the newfound power. Yunho is fortunate to escape the Ant King's grasp. In his mind, he realizes that the monster is going out to hunt Guto Ruji. This opportunity must be seized. The Korean hunters must quickly leave the ant nest before the Ant King returns. However, the Korean hunters are not given a chance to relax, as hundreds of soldier ants have now returned to the nest, ready to devour them all. So, how will they escape this nightmare? Can they find a way out, or will the Ant King and his swarm claim them all? Outside the ant nest, Alpha Team, led by Go Teruji, was looking for the Japanese teams that had suddenly lost contact. Ishida started to panic after failing to reach Charlie and Delta teams. Ruji figured there was some kind of interference with the communication signal and ordered Bravo Team to respond. Bravo Team reported back that they were still alive and asked if they needed to search for Charlie and Delta as well. Ruji told them it wasn't necessary. Just finish your mission and meet up with Alpha Team as planned. When they got to where Charlie and Delta teams were last seen, they found both groups dead, their bodies badly mangled. Ruji then got a call from Matsumoto, the chairman of the Japanese Hunter Association. Matsumoto said he didn't care about the deaths of the Japanese hunters, and that their main goal was to destroy the South Korean team. He told all Japanese teams to retreat from the raid right away. After getting the retreat order, Go Teruji got his team ready to leave. But then, they were hit by a surprise attack. Ruji was quick to react, blocking the blow with his sword. But to his horror, the attack decapitated Ishida in an instant. Realizing how powerful their enemy was, Ruji told Hoshino to leave immediately and regroup with Bravo Team. He didn't want anyone getting in his way. He would face the Ant King alone. As he unleashed his aura of power, Ruji stared down the massive ant and taunted it. But then, to his shock, the Ant King spoke, asking if Ruji was a king. Ruji was surprised that the Ant King could speak. Then he confirmed that he was the king, while pointing his sword at the monster. The Ant King's response was pretty terrifying. It released an aura that was way more overwhelming than Ruji's, flooding him with a fear he hadn't felt in a long time, since his encounter with Jinwoo. Without warning, the Ant King lunged at him, shattering Ruji's sword and severing his head in a single strike. Go-To Ruji, Japan's top S-rank hunter, was completely defeated and unable to put up a fight. Meanwhile, the Korean team kept fighting off the ants heading back to their nest, despite being severely wounded. Yunho asked Choi to crank up his attack power, but Choi warned that if he did, they'd probably run out of oxygen in that place. And all the Korean hunters could do was rely on Choi's fire attacks to get out of this mess. As Choi started to struggle and the ants pressed closer, in a flash, a shadow warrior emerged, stopping the attacking ants in their tracks. Yunho was shocked and wondered who this Black Knight was. He felt like he'd seen it before. It turned out to be Jinwoo's shadow warrior, who had been slipped into the hunter's shadows to keep an eye on them. The shadow then sent a signal back to Jinwoo, who was in the city. Realizing how critical the situation was, Jinwoo immediately activated his skill, Return. Meanwhile, a cameraman freaked out as two huge ants charged straight for him. Fear filled his face as he resigned himself to his fate. Suddenly, both ants were pierced by a sword, which was Igris's sword. Meanwhile, back at the broadcasting station in Korea, the crew shut down the live broadcast after seeing the desperate condition of the S-rank hunters who were on the brink of death. One of the crew members told the broadcasting chief that they were getting flooded with complaints from viewers. The chief felt like the broadcast couldn't go on, but just as he was about to give the order to shut things down, a crew member reported a mysterious figure suddenly showing up at the raid site. The chief stared at the monitor in disbelief and ordered the broadcast to continue no matter what. Deep down, he knew Korea's fate was now in the hands of this hunter. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo had arrived at Jeju Island, right in the middle of the ant monster nest. Calm but determined, Jin-Woo stood at the front lines with all his shadow warriors, facing down the hundreds of ants ready to strike. Jin-Woo called for Iron, and without hesitation, Iron activated his taunting cry skill, provoking all the ants in the nest. Jin-Woo smiled, impressed by Iron's growing smarts. Then, he readied himself for battle, gripping the Demon King's dagger. In the blink of an eye, Jinwoo moved like lightning, slashing and cutting down several ant monsters in one deadly sweep. From behind, Tusk activated a magic barrier to protect the wounded hunters. Ma Dongwook watched in confusion, not sure what was happening. Yunho explained that with Jinwoo's presence, they didn't need to worry anymore. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was moving non-stop, slashing ants at a speed too fast to follow. Beside him, Igris showcased his deadly swordsmanship, taking down enemies with incredible precision. Iron went wild, tearing through every ant that dared to come near, while Tank unleashed brutal attacks, easily swallowing up several ants. In the middle of the fierce battle, Jinwoo realized they needed to end this fast. Standing among the scattered ant corpses, he calmly said one word, "Arise." In seconds, the dead ant bodies were taken over and transformed into new shadow warriors with a dark, menacing aura. The cameraman watching the scene felt a chill run down his spine, unable to believe what he was seeing. Moments later, the cameraman got a direct order from the broadcasting center to air the footage immediately, as the whole country was watching the event live. On the battlefield, the shadow ants launched an attack, mercilessly slaughtering the other ants without hesitation. As the battle raged on, Jinwoo approached the injured hunters and handed out potions to heal them. The hunters were bewildered, shocked to see their wounds disappear as if what had just happened was beyond their understanding. Jinwoo then checked on Hunter Cha's condition, while Ma Dongwook looked worried because Cha was still unconscious. Jinwoo stated that Cha was in critical condition, and his current power wasn't enough to heal him. With the ant nest temporarily cleared, Jinwoo ordered the hunters to leave before more ants swarmed in. Suddenly, Jinwoo felt a terrifying aura from a new monster ant entering the nest. The monster approached, mumbling something about searching for a king. Yunho was shocked to see the Ant King and realized that Ruji might be dead. Jinwoo stood up and told Ma Dongwoo to take care of Hunter Cha while he faced the Ant King. The Ant King walked up to Jinwoo and asked if he was the king of humans. Jinwoo responded sarcastically, asking if now even insects could talk to him. Jinwoo and the Ant King stood facing each other, each radiating an intimidating aura. Then, the Ant King provoked Jinwoo by releasing an even more intense aura. Jinwoo grinned and said, "Now you seem more like a bug." That concludes this episode. Thank you for watching. Peace.